He's back! Araragi is finally here for Monster Season. For those who don't know, Araragi is my favorite character in the series, and I wrote an entire essay about it that will be linked at the end of this video. Right now, though, I want to talk about Shinobu Monogatari, Shinobu Mastered. I'm so happy that we will be getting 6 episodes for this arc. I binge read everything in 2 days despite my busy work schedule, just to make sure I was prepared to talk about the anime adaptation. Though often Monster is all part of one season, I appreciate how the stylization for each arc we've been exploring is designed to suit each story's tone and themes. The character designs remain consistent and recognizable, but whereas Suki Undo and Nadeko Draw were bright and colorful, Acerilla Bon Appetit was dark and gothic, and Shinobu Mastered is somewhere in the middle. It's the one that's most similar to when the main story is told from Araragi's POV, which makes sense given that this one is one of those stories. When we first meet Araragi again, he's at the hospital. And it's true that most hospitals are white, but they definitely emphasize the harsh brightness of the environment, which makes sense given how Araragi feels very anxious when he has to go to one. It's not mentioned outright, so I appreciated that particular detail. One of the major themes of this arc, without bringing spoilers into it, is definitely legacy. So many elements of the story have already been introduced that are directly related to this concept. The entrance of Deathtopia, who is Kishat's master, Guy and Toei, mentioned as the shadow to Guy and Izuko, the first and second year basketball players and their national level seniors. Even Higasa, who took over as captain for Kambaru, appeared from behind her as if stepping out of her shadow. That was such a cool entrance. But back to the topic. I think this theme was reinforced by having the manner in which Harimaze Kie met Deathtopia be very similar to how Araragi met Kishat. The way she wished to meet a monster, real or fantasy, to shake up the circumstances of her life also reminded me of Hanekawa. It's as if to say the young will inherit the same mistakes made by the older generation. Now, it's no doubt Harimaze Kie was not alone in feeling pressured by the burden of being a member of the girls' basketball team. Higasa and Tsuruga pretty much tell us that during their conversation with Araragi. So the irony of what happened to the victims was not lost on me either. In life, they felt trapped, in a state where they could neither quit nor hope to surpass their seniors, yet they carried on with practice. They were in an endless grind of school and club. And now they've been mummified, but that's not much different from how they were. In the novel, their condition is described in detail. There's no blood to circulate, but their heart continues to beat. They're stuck in a state between life and death. That's definitely commentary on what it means to work so hard without any passion or result. There's also the suggestion that legacy itself is only a burden. I won't go further into it for now, just to avoid spoilers. Anyway, veering away from the writing, let's talk about some of the visual aspects of this episode that stood out to me. First, I like the photographs of real items and locations that were used to mark the crime scenes and evidence. They even extended that to the flashcard, which could most easily appear drawn in. It's a nice way of tracking the information crucial to the case. The shoelaces of the basketball shoes all tangled up together was also a great visual representation of their collective responsibility. There's also the implication that, in a case like that, surely somebody would eventually fall, taking the rest with them. And that's the fear that the basketball players are faced with. That's why they don't quit. Nobody wants to be the domino that triggers the downfall of the team. One character I was really looking forward to meeting was Meniko. She's certainly unique, even as Araragi's most normal friend. Untouched by oddities as she is, she's nonetheless hyper-fixated on cryptology, and she keeps to a strict schedule, whether or not the other party shows up. I think her eccentricities were well depicted in her character design, and her greeting to Araragi was super cute. It was enough to demonstrate how friendly and close the relationship is. Higasa's appearance was brief, but I also like her character design, and her forwardness with Araragi was charming. But I do think it's felt more strongly in the book. I'm sure we'll get the chance to see it more in the anime later though. I also liked how Shinobu featured in the cuts between scenes. She hasn't appeared in the story yet, but it's a clever way of building anticipation for her imminent arrival, as well as immediately establishing the theme of legacy by promising she will be an important part of this story. Now, for things I wish had been adapted. I only have one this time. Why didn't they have Araragi reach for the chest first when checking for the mummy's pulse? Perhaps we'll see more of his degeneracy later. He just isn't the same without it. Anyway, what did you enjoy from this episode? How do you like Aragi's new character design? Personally, I'm a fan. I'm still not over that preview art. It may take some time for me to get over that. I think it might be time to stare at it some more. Excuse me.